Okay, now it's time to start your lesson on the notes of the clefs. Now the first one will be the notes of the treble clef. Now remember, when we first started talking about music, music actually had 11 lines. This is what the musicians actually read, 11 lines, but it was too much and they realized that. So what they did was they divided it into high instruments and low instruments, which is where we now get our treble and bass clef. So therefore, when you're dealing with the treble clef, we know that this note here is called middle C. And then it just goes up the alphabet. And remember, there are only 7 note names in the musical alphabet. Just to remind you, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then starts over again. A, B, and backwards. So if you go up in music, you go forward in the musical alphabet. If you go down in music, then you go backwards in the musical alphabet. Literally, you have to know it backwards and forwards. So it's important to realize that. And by the way, if you didn't happen to know this, remember that when this first originated, it was during the time in which the church was the dominant institution of the time. And therefore, a lot of the philosophies and all of the structures come from trying to exemplify the ideals of the church. In other words, how many days are there in a week? Well, there are 7 days in a week. 6 days did the Lord make the heaven and earth, and on the 7th day, He rested. Well, there are 7 different note names. This is where it originated from, the idea of the church number 7. So you have middle C. Then if you go up from that, you have D, E, F, G. Notice when I'm writing these notes, I'm making sure there's no ambiguity, that when you look at that G, it is G. It's not halfway in between the spaces. It has a line going right through the middle of the note. And then we start at A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so forth. The next note would be A, B, and it would just keep on going. If we were going backwards, again, if we were going down in music, then please be aware of the fact that if we were to write this so that you would be able to see it backwards, the same thing would also exist. This is A, then G, then F, E. You're going backwards in your alphabet. D, C, and so forth. Now, there is a way to remember this. Remember, there are 5 lines and 4 spaces in each of the stabs. So, one of the ways we remembered this is we divided into the lines and the spaces. That's not good. That's better. And then the spaces, there are 5 lines, 4 spaces. So this is E, G, B, D, and F. And we can assign a rhyme to it to help you to remember what the name of these lines are. One of the most common ones is every good boy deserves fudge, or you could put down fun, whatever, to help you remember. Now this is only a method to help you remember. Eventually you need to know what these notes are without using that system. Every good boy deserves fudge. E, G, B, D, and F are the named lines. Now anything above that, if you know this is called F, then the next space above that is going to be G, the next line above that is going to be A, the next line above that is going to be B, and so forth, and it continues on. The same thing for going down. If you know what the name of the line is E, then the next space below it is going to be, you go backwards in your alphabet, there's E, so the next note is going to be D. And then of course we know middle C. So that's where those notes would come from. And then you have the spaces, and coincidentally, the spaces are F-A-C-E. They spell face. So for the lines, use the rhyme. For space, spell face. That's an easy way of remembering it, and your assignment is going to require you to know the names of lines and spaces. Now your assignment has all this information on the pages of the assignment. So you'll find all of this information I just went over inside the assignment as well. Now, the last part that you have to do has to do with the crossword. Hopefully you know how to do crosswords, but just to refresh your memory, is that if you have the notes, they'll all spell words, by the way, on the crossword. So this is B-E. So B-E spells the word B, and you'll see that you have two blocks to fill in, and you just put in the letters where it says one across, this is across, and you put in the letters B-E. Now there's another one there that's one down, and it's three letters. Well, as long as you've named this one right, then you already know what the first letter is going to be, and it goes like this. So it's, actually it does this. B-E-D spells the word bed. And then we put that in, B-E-D. And then that's how you work a musical crossword. I hope that clearly explains it. If it doesn't, then make sure that when the opportunity affords itself, ask your peers, or of course ask me, your teacher. And that is the Treble Clef.